Hello everyone, today I'm going to be answering the question, can you beat Sonic 1 without collecting a single ring and without defeating an enemy? I'm going to be attempting both of these challenges at the same time. I know, fun. And I'm going to be using everyone's favorite challenge winner, Tails. So without any further ado, let's begin. My journey begins in Green Hills, Montana. I avoid everything in sight and use my greatest ally, flight, the only reason why this challenge is possible. I grab a shield, go to this place with a lot of rings, spin dash, jump, and fly to the goal. Act 2 is roughly similar. I get this one up, and shortly after I fly to the goal. In Act 3, I die to a buzz bomber. Real nice. Afterwards, I fly to the boss while avoiding the wasp of failure. It spawns there for some reason, and with one singular hit, I defeat Dr. Eggman, and to the Marble Ruins I go. In the first act of Marble Zone, I fly and navigate my way through here, and this happens. Even with my 13 plus years of flying, there are some things that I can't avoid. I try again and succeed, do some platforming, avoid these bastards, and I finish the act. Act 2 is where I would encounter my first roadblock, ring placement. No matter how hard I try, I can't get through here without collecting a ring, and believe me, I tried. So I used debug mode. 2 times, actually. The second time was to get through here, and the rest of the act is history. In Act 3, I discover a hidden route and was welcomed very warmly with enemies, hard to avoid ring placement, and a bunch of other stuff. But I get through all of that, fight Eggman, defeat him, and narrowly avoid being burnt to death, and with that, Marble Zone is complete. Act 1 of Spring Yard begins with quite the curveball. If I go through here normally, then I'd collect rings, so I do this. And a nanosecond later, I'm hit with another curveball. Ring placement and enemy placement. This part was very difficult and I even got a game over at some point, but it wasn't impossible. I used these balls to my advantage, avoid the rings below, avoid enemies and them trying to snipe me. I get through that small taste of hell, took the high route, and it was smooth sailing from there. In Act 2, I face a similar problem to Act 1, so I use a similar solution. Took the high route, died, tried again, and completed Act 2. In Act 3, a new problem arises. The solutions I used before won't help me here, so I get a shield and precisely damage boost my way through, and I do this 2 times. 4 pro gamer moves later, I fight the boss, 8 hits later, and I'm done here. The Labyrinth, also known as Hell. This level was very fun to play, and one of the things that made this level fun were these burrow monkeys. They have the smartest AI in the game. They could jump and assassinate you, follow you, get in your way, they're a pain in the ass. Oh yeah, drowning is also a problem. Halfway through Act 1, I find a shortcut and it was miserable. There were 5 enemies, 2 of them being a surprise gift. Avoiding them is hard enough, but I have to do this quick or else I drown. And one time, I was so close, yet so far. After an eternity, Act 1 is finally done. In Act 2, I get to this place where a burrow monkey hides the bubble spawner. I was caught off guard and failed many times, and the fact that you get sucked here doesn't help. Right after that, I come across this door, and to open it, I need to break this ring box and jump on the switch. Thankfully, I have debug mode to avoid this pain, and then I get through the act. In Act 3, I flew and swam. A lot. I grabbed a shield before chasing Eggman. Halfway through the chase, I plummet down to the beginning. I frantically try to get to the surface, but the countdown begins and I start to lose hope. But I get out shortly after. First try, believe it or not, and I'm glad that this hell is over. Starlight Zone, the break I needed after the torture and torment I faced in the labyrinth. It was easy. The only 2 enemies that were in this zone were these floating balls, just a passive version of whatever the fuck these things are, and explosive midgets. There were very few enemies and rings were easy to avoid, making Act 1 and 2 a breeze. In Act 3, I take the lower route and face more enemies, but it doesn't really make a difference. I fight Eggman, give him explosive diarrhea, and with that, this zone is complete. It was fun while it lasted. Believe it or not, Scrap Brain is actually my favorite level in Sonic 1, but sadly, Act 1 stabs me in the back with ring placement. I have to go through these tunnels to progress, and rings decide to exist there. There's no way to avoid the rings, and every path leads me to one of these tunnels, so using debug mode is a must. And after that, this act is done. For Act 2, I take the high route, grab a shield, avoid being crushed, avoid the caterpillars, avoid these balls, and Act 2 is done. Labyrinth Act 4. First, let me show you something. This is how long the stage would be if you were to take the normal path. Pretty long, most women would like that, but you'd be a fool not to take the shortcut. Remember, work smarter and not harder. After finishing Act 4, first try by the way, I get to the final boss and the most climactic battle begins. Camping, the best strategy to any game. So, can you beat Sonic 1 without collecting a single ring? Yes you can, thanks to debug mode. And the second question, can you beat Sonic 1 without defeating an enemy? Obviously, yes. Gotta be frank, already made a video on this. I just wanted to make this challenge difficult for myself. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe and farewell.